Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of We're Screwed. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
This episode is going to be fun. We had talked about doing one thing, but I'm doing an old switcheroonie. I want to change it because there's something that I've been noticing, and I want to talk about it, and I want to run it by all you guys. One of my strengths is pattern recognition. Okay, I can see things that are happening. I can compare it to things that have happened in the past and kind of predict what's going to be happening. Okay, so I want to go way down deep into the rabbit hole of conspiracy right now. Okay, I want to talk about some uncomfortable things. I want to talk about some things that some of you might think are kind of crazy, but I want to lay out some data points and I want to explain to you and kind of bounce it off you guys what I'm seeing and what I'm thinking might happen and see what you guys think about it. Okay. So let's go all the way back to when Trump was running for president the first time. We're talking 2016 time, right? That's when the Q thing started. And a lot of people were following the Q post and they were kind of seeing what was going on, right? There was a lot of things called Q proofs that happened. Okay, that's when Q would post something and then Trump would tweet the exact same thing like 30 seconds later. That was a Q proof. That was proving that Q was real and had access to Trump. Okay, and there was a shit ton of those that happened, a bunch of times that those kind of things took place that made people believe, okay, this is on the up and up. Okay, so I'm not here to debate whether Q is real or not. Okay, but in the Q post, there was going to come a time when there was something that was going to happen called the storm. Okay, and it was going to be followed by the pain. So basically, what the storm is the point in time when all hell starts to break loose, and all of the stuff is released, and people can see what all of these assholes have been up to. And then the pain is the punishment phase of that when these people get tried and convicted and all that kind of stuff, put in prison, right? So that's kind of the basic idea of the Q post. There's a whole lot more to it. And if we wanted to do a whole show just on Q, I mean, I could fill hours of stuff because I've read every Q post. Okay, but I just want you to have, for the people that didn't follow Q, I want you to have a basic background of what it was and how it applies to this. Okay, now let's fast forward. I put a video up last night, I believe it was. Now, when you're watching this, it won't have been last night. It was last night from right now when I'm filming this. So it might be a couple days ago that I put the video up. But it was Donald Trump giving a speech at a like a dinner thing, right? And in that speech, he's talking about the midterms. And he says he's actually looking forward to the midterms because everybody's going to know what all of these people did. And he called them traitors several times, that they have committed treason several times. Okay. Now, I said in that video that that's important because what is the penalty for treason? The penalty for treason is death, right? A lot of people are focused on the midterm portion of it, right? They're saying, look, I don't want to wait until the midterms for this to happen. I want justice now. I want all this stuff released now. Okay. Now, what I had said on the video was that you got to understand this stuff has to be leaked out a little bit at a time. It can't all be dumped at once because people can't get through all of it. You know what I mean? People can't digest all of that information. So if you're going to be like arresting people and putting them on trial and shit, the public needs to know what's going on first because there's no way people are just going to stand for that because you're going to have famous people, politicians, all kinds of people that go down. So you're going to have that information out there. So what he's saying is during the midterms when they're running, that people are going to know what has taken place at that point. So he's looking forward to midterms because it's going to be an easy victory because the American public's already going to know what happened, which means it's going to happen well before the midterms. So we're talking here very, very soon is when this is going to take place, right? Where all this information is going to come out. People are going to understand what they've done, and they're going to be so pissed off, they're going to vote a lot of them out, right? That's the idea. So you got data point one is all the Q stuff, the storm, the pain, right? Data point two is Trump saying treason. They're traitors. They committed treason. It's going to happen before the midterms. Okay. Data point three, Elon Musk stepping down from Doge. Trump announced that Elon is going to be leaving soon, probably within the next month, to go back to running his companies and will be stepping down from Doge. Now, he mentioned that he's been attacked a great deal and all this kind of stuff, but he's really done a great job and he's a patriot, right? A lot of people are thinking, well, Elon's stepping down because everybody's criticizing him and he's losing business and he doesn't want his companies to fail. I don't think that's what it is. And I'll tell you why. The next data point, number 4, I guess it is. What was Elon doing at Doge? He was setting up the IT part. He was gathering the information from all of the people that were already embedded in these agencies for Doge. All of this information, he was, and he said it over and over and over again. He even wore a T-shirt that said tech support. And he was joking that he was tech support. He was the IT guy. I think what Elon was actually doing there was providing the tech, the IT, right, to get all of this information and put it all in a central database so it can be used. Okay, I think he was exactly that, the tech support guy. I think he was the guy setting up the technology and the computer systems that can get all of this information and collate it and put it where it needs to be. And I think now that his job is done with gathering all that information, finding all the fraud, getting it all organized and everything together so that it can be used, he's done his job. So now he's stepping away. And I think he's stepping away not just to go run his companies. I think he's stepping away not just because his job is done. He's stepping away because they're moving on to the next phase of Doge, of the project, right? What is the next phase? And Trump said that himself, that Elon will be stepping down and Doge will be moving on to the next phase. So what is the next phase? Well, the next phase is taking all this horrible stuff that they found, which Trump said that himself, that you wouldn't even believe some of the stuff they found. It's so terrible, right? Taking all of that stuff they found, that information, disseminating it to the public little by little so we can understand it and interpret it and find out what's going on, and then referring it over to Pam Bondi and Cash Patel and Dan Bongino for prosecution. Okay, that stage of it, Elon's not going to be there for. One, he's not needed for that anymore. And two, as Trump said, he's already being attacked and made the boogeyman. He served his purpose. He distracted them. Everybody was attacking Elon, and they weren't focusing on what was actually happening. It's like a magic trick. The magician is making a lot of gestures over and here with this hand, drawing your attention so you don't see what he's doing with this hand. That's where the magic is happening. That's the illusion. It's taking place here, but you don't see it because you're watching this. Exact same principle. I think this was Elon. I think he was doing a very important job, the tech support job that he said, gathering that information from all the people that were already embedded in the agencies to gather that information. But I think also he was serving as a boisterous, loud, obnoxious distraction for everybody to pay attention to and bitch about and protest against, while the real work was going on over here, getting ready for the prosecutions. The storm, as Q called it. That's what's next. Now, whether you want to call it the storm or you want to call it anything else you want to call it, doesn't matter. But if you follow the data here, if you follow the facts of what was actually said by Trump, it fits. So those are the data points I'm seeing. That's the progression of the data that I'm seeing. And the prediction I'm making here is that's exactly what's getting ready to happen, the storm, where you're going to have a lot of information put out in the public about a lot of very famous people and a lot of well known and very powerful politicians. We're talking the Epstein list, we're talking way more than that. That information is going to be made public. And those people will pay for what they did and have been doing for a long time. In the Q post, it says no deals. Nobody can stop what is coming. That it'll get to the point where these people are not even going to be able to walk down the street because of what they've done. And everybody will know it. Okay, all of those things come from the Q post, and we've seen that stuff happen. So whether you are somebody who followed the Q stuff, whether you believe that that's real or whether you think it's false, doesn't matter. What matters is the data points line up. And everything that I'm seeing is pointing to what Q called the storm actually taking place very soon. And I, for one, am very stoked about that. Because the stuff that they've been doing, man, the crimes against children, all that stuff, it's horrifying. And I think anybody involved in that kind of shit needs to pay. You know, it has to be stopped. And I think the work of getting rid of the fraud and all the waste in our government and trying to get our debt under control and fixing things with the tariffs as far as getting equal footing, free trade actually happening, where these other countries aren't taking advantage of us all the time, all that's good stuff. But I think it's going to be way more than that. I think we're headed for some very turbulent times. I think there's a reason why the Democrats are protesting so much now. You know, and when I say that, I don't mean like the average Democrat out there voter because they don't know what the hell's going on. They're just doing what they're told, you know. But as far as the real power people, you know, the Soroses and the Pelosi's and the Schumers and those kind of people, there's a reason why they're all screaming bloody murder and protesting like crazy. It's because they know what's coming and they're scared to death. Now, that's what I think. Now, I've told you why I think it. I've explained the data points to you, and I've shown you how I've connected those dots. So, what I want to run by everybody is what do you think? What do you think of that? Does that make sense to you? It makes sense to me. You know, now I never bought into a lot of the extra bullshit that surrounded Q, where you had people talking about beds and all this crazy nonsense, right? None of that shit was ever said in the Q post. You know, talking about JFK Jr. still being alive and all that shit. Q never said any of that stuff. That was people that would make videos about the Q post that would kind of go into business for themselves and talk a lot of crazy shit that Q never said. So I never bought into all that extra bullshit. But what I can tell you is we have seen things that Q talked about come to pass. Okay, and there were a lot of Q proofs that you just cannot explain. It can't just be bullshit. There's something there. And it's lining up with what's going on now. So my question to all of you watching is, what do you think about that? Do you think that we are getting ready to actually see the storm take place? Do you think that we're getting to the point where all of this shit's going to be cleaned up and these people are going to go to jail? I certainly hope so. You have a lot of people out there who always say that nobody will ever go to jail over this, that the Epstein list will never be released and nobody will ever pay for any of that stuff. because the people involved are way too powerful. And I'm not faulting your logic on that. Understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. In a normal world, yes, that's a hell of a hurdle to overcome. And you're probably right. But if I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing, we might be in for a hell of a ride. And I'm excited about that. So that's the question I want to pose to the audience and get your opinion on. See if I'm just seeing shit that ain't there, or if I'm onto something here. Because I think I'm onto something here. But I'm gonna throw over to old boy and see what he has to say about it, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, brother. Well, he changed the show on me in 2 seconds, but I wasn't ready for it. So honestly, I'm not a big politician fan at all. Um, I do believe some of it. I also believe it's the right dream pipe. It's going to some of it happen, but I still think some of it might never happen. Um, you have to be very careful what Trump's doing right now. He got to realize he's only going to be in office for 4 years. They can go after him and say he's a traitor. That's why I'm saying, and that's what they're going to do. And that's why I'm saying, I get it. You lie to Congress, you should be considered a traitor. Well, then most of the people in politics would be gone. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, yeah, how many times people are lying or saying they're lying? So, I mean, everybody would be sentenced to death in Washington. Let's be fair. I'm saying everyone. Even Trump's lied about something. That's why I said everybody's probably stretched the truth or lied about something. So, I'd be like, everybody would be going to jail. Um, the Democratic Party not letting Bernie Sanders run should be going to jail. I'm sorry. He had a chance to win, like, a couple times, and you guys screwed him. I mean, it's the truth. That's why a lot of people who voted independent were so pissed off and they left, because you guys keep screwing Bernie Sanders and won't let him win. And he might have won. People got to realize a lot of people like him. A lot of people have his social views, and a lot of people have to realize he doesn't agree with China. He believes in socialism, but he doesn't agree with China's socialism. He liked Russia's, but he does agree that it would never work, because you can't have a doctor make is less money than somebody who's taking out the trash or something. And I'm not saying that's a lesser job, but it's more important to save people. It's just never going to work. And you can't just change it. Over time, you can, but and I get it. People don't want the government in anything, and I get it. But sometimes, if you have too much stuff not getting watched, then we have the problems we have, and there's always going to be people who do bad things. It doesn't matter if it's the government, whatever, bad guys, people go to in and out of jail. There's always going to have, stuff that happens. There's nothing you can do about that. I think if everybody was equal, just think about that. Everybody would still find a way to bitch about something. It would never work, because people still are so competitive. You're never going to get that. You're never going to have, well, you know what the hell am I going to live for, a normal life? I'm not saying that's bad, but some people don't see it. I don't live a normal life. Fuck, you see how I live my life. I might have two wives one day. You never know. And that's my life. And that's crazy. But, hey, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just me. And he has, a lot of people think he's right. A lot of people hate him. That he gets a lot of shit for what he says. He believes in the right. And I'm talking about, I don't even like saying right or wrong or left. That's he goes more conservative Republican, and I'm more independent. And I see things a little different than he does, but I don't hate him, and that's his opinion. I think what the truth is, and one of the things I was talking about, is it going to get to the point where everybody just separates each other? And that would be a really, like I said before, and this goes on to this, that would be a very sad situation, especially with everything that's going to go on. Even if this stuff comes out, people aren't going to believe it. They're going to say the Republicans made it look like this, the conspiracy. They're going to say it's fixed. It doesn't matter. There's still going to be that 30% who's just not going to ever care. Just like on your side, it doesn't matter if they did the same thing. No one's going to believe it. We have so much misinformation, no one's going to believe it. There'll be people who do, but there's still people who are going to say that's fixed. There's something not right. And I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's what you're going to have. And yeah, they don't know whatever, but it doesn't matter. They still vote. So that's the thing. You have a lot of bitterness, and it shouldn't be like this. It should never got this way. We should have never let them get it like this, and we fell for it. And this is not a conspiracy. This is my opinion on what he was talking about. I do believe stuff is coming, though. I don't believe 100%, but I believe that stuff is coming, and certain people are going to get what they deserve. But the 1% will always find a way to get involved and do what they want. And that's just the truth. You can say this and that and watch what will happen. They'll get them back. In 4 years, they'll go after those people like they made Trump's life a living hell. And they still tried, and he still ran. I'm not a big fan of him, but I'll give him that. He still fucking ran, dude. Like, I don't know why. They wouldn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. They would have never. He said he was gonna run. They didn't even go after him. It's when he said he was gonna run. That's what they went right after him. I think that was a big mistake of his. I think he shouldn't have said nothing to the year before he was running. But Trump is that kind of person. He doesn't give a fuck what anybody thinks, and that's good. And there's sometimes it's bad. And with Eli Musk, I think, there's stuff. He is losing a lot of money for Tesla, and he probably will step down to go run Tesla. He is. He said is. I never really cared for the guy. He's a flip-flopper. He went one way into another. I get it. But I know he's got something involved in it. He's not innocent. None of these people are. But he does want to save humanity. He just sometimes doesn't think about what he says. And that's the problem. And it is what it is. Some people like him. Some people don't. I'm not advocating you go and attack people who bought the car 10 years ago and before he even started his politics shit. And that's stupid. That's not their fault. They bought a car. That's it. They're doing the environment right. I get it. You don't like Eli Musk, then don't buy his car. Protest. That's one thing. That destroying stuff isn't going to make anything better. You're making yourself look bad. Yeah, you might be losing his business, but people are watching you do this shit. So they're going to say, okay, you guys are doing the same shit. We're going to vote again the same way. So this is what people don't get. Yes, I agree. You're allowed to protest. And we both agree with that. And if you don't like Eli Musk, peaceful. And I heard most of these protests it's not like it used to be. They have been kind of really controlled. It's not like they go out, something happened here and there, but it's not like it was. And that's good. If you don't like something, I have no problem with you protesting anything. Everybody has a right to protest. Like in City Hall, I don't know, and I'm going to tell you, I know James, the Satanist, in City Hall, they allow every statue, even theirs did. Well, the guy went in there, and it showed him, and he was saying whatever he was saying, and he had the right to. The guy punched him in the face, and they got in a big fight over that, and they said that's the stuff that has to stop. I don't care what you believe in. It shouldn't get to that point. If you guys don't want to talk about it, walk away. There's some people want to have friendly debates. Maybe some things you shouldn't talk about, though, that go deeper. There's some things you shouldn't really be talking to you about. Like, if you're a part of the Holocaust, I really shouldn't really talk to you about it. It's not my really thing to say to you. Or what you went through. That's not my business to tell you how you should feel. That's what I'm saying on that in this whole situation we're talking about. But that's certain things that probably shouldn't really be talked about anyway. But some things should be. But it shouldn't get to this. where we have all these conspiracy theories. This is going to happen. That's going to, and I'm not saying it won't. And maybe it's probably going to. With Trump's involved, I won't doubt anything. One thing I will say, I'm not a big fan of the dude, but I can't doubt him because he's proven everyone wrong. He still fucking wins. I don't know what to tell anybody. Uh, I gotta say what it is. I'm not a fan of the dude, but he's fucking there. I that's all I can say on that. But I'll give him some balls, man, because I wouldn't want to be the president, especially being him. And I'm not saying that as anything. He took a big job he didn't have to do this time. He didn't have to come back. He got himself in more trouble coming back. And that's crazy to me. I mean, that's one thing I gotta say, that I'm surprised he did. I thought that what they did when they raided him and stuff like that he was not going to run again. I thought he was done, and he changed his mind. I think that's what did it. I think they should have just left him alone and probably wouldn't have ran. And I think that they're their own enemy, man. They said so much shit the last couple of years, and what happened with Biden, stepping out early, and everybody knows he was going to get impeached. And Kamala took it over. The whole problem was everybody knew that Kamala knew that he couldn't be the president anymore. And why didn't they say nothing? Because she said 2 months before that he could, when Trump made him look bad on that debate, when he fell for Trump's trap. I will say this: when you're older, you're not as sharp as you get. I will get it. He was almost 82 years old. I'll give it to him. He was old. Trump is younger than him, 4 or 5 years. And even Trump, you can see starting to get old. But Joe Biden isn't going to be on point, bro, on a debate. You knew that. Trump wasn't really either. He was not what he used to be. Trump isn't what he used to be. Biden wasn't. And you know that it wasn't going to go that way. He was going to stutter, and they would have made him, but he just was bad. But that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. What he's saying, and all these people who are doing bad things to people and kids and stuff like that, I hope it comes out, but I think some of it will come out. I think they'll always fight it. They'll always find a way. Like you're saying, they're going to release it, but then some fucking judge is going to say, no, you're not. And then there we go back into the circle for 6 months. And that's what they'll keep doing. And that's what's always going to happen. They're already saying the judge is going to stop it already. He's already saying he's going to stop it, and then they're going to go another 3 or 4 months or 6 months for fighting this shit. But we'll see what happens. If this shit comes out, I hope the people who are involved go down. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, I have to agree with James on a lot of it. I'm not saying 100%. I don't think James is going to sit here and say he believes 100% of all this shit, because we don't. He probably only believes about 40 to 50% of it. Probably the other half is bullshit. Like, I'll go about 30, 40% of this is what he might be accurate. 30, 35. But I think a lot of it is bullshit, though. But some of it is true. That's my opinion. And other than that, I'm not a big politics person. This is not my era. I like getting into it. But that's just my opinion, brother. Yeah, I'll go ahead and throw it over to you.
Well, you said something that is kind of astute, and that is he's only there for 4 years, so he's not going to dick around. If he's going to take care of this and he's going to get it done, and he has said after those assassination attempts, when he got shot in the head, that God saved him, and God saved him to save this country. That's what Trump said. So whether you believe that's true or not doesn't matter. What matters is he believes that's true. So if he believes that God saved him for the purpose of saving this country, and he knows he only has 4 years to do it, he's not gonna mess around. He's gonna, and we've already seen it. We've already seen it in what he's done so far. I mean, eggs have already went down. Oil is down below like $60 a barrel now, which hadn't been like that in over 4 years. Gas prices are already starting to go down. He's doing all the tariff stuff. He's already got over 75 countries begging to make a deal, which means that all those tariffs are going to be dropped. We're going to get much better trade deals with those countries, which means a lot of investment coming into America, which means a hell of a lot more jobs here. Factories opening back up in this country, people being able to make a living again. You got RFK Jr. and the Maha movement. There's already states that are banning different dyes, food dyes. That's awesome. You've already got states that are now banning fluoride from their water, which is awesome. You know what I mean? So shit's already happening. A lot of this stuff, he's not playing. He's not messing around. So you can already see in what he's doing, it's rapid fire and it's happening fast. And and I would just ask, leave all the other stuff out of it for a second. And I would simply ask this question to old boy and to everybody who's listening. Do you think that Trump is the kind of man that's going to take all the shit that they did to him and just let it go? Or do you think Trump's the kind of man that when you try to kill him and throw him in prison and destroy his family, that he's going to destroy you? 100% he's coming back after your ass. Just like he did when he stood up when they shot him in the head and he said, fight, fight, fight. That's what that man's about. He is a bona fide fucking badass, whether you like him or not. That's a badass man. Because I don't know how many men are like that can just stand up when someone's shooting at you, done hit you in the fucking head, you got blood pouring down. Who's got the balls to stand up, not even knowing if the shooter's still shooting or what the hell's going on, to stand up and yell, fight, 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 and shake his fist at him? Dude, that's a badass right there, bro. That's a dude that ain't fucking around. He's gonna come get you. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Knowing the man that he is, knowing the evidence that there is against these people, and knowing that now, for the first time, you've got backup. You've got Pam Bondi as the Attorney General, who is 100% on board with taking these assholes out. You've got Kash Patel as the director of the FBI, who's 100% on board to take these people out. And you got Dan Bongino, one of the toughest, most patriotic, honest people that there are. That dude, I trust that dude implicitly with what he's doing. You know what I mean? So we got a real shot of actually cleaning the shit up. Now, will it happen? I don't know. I'm not 100% on it. But that's what I'm seeing. I went through the data with you guys, and I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised. I hope it happens. So let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. As always, it's up to you to make up your own mind. Let us know, you know. And I'm going to throw back over to old boy and let him give his shout outs, and then we'll wrap up.
Thank you, brother. And just so you know, that like a lot of this stuff is really deep, and I don't get in conspiracies like this. I know a little bit. We all know most of them, but not deep as he does. So it's kind of hard for me. So I'll go on my own way of saying stuff, but I'll bring it in to what the whole thing means together. So, that being said, it caught me off guard. So like I said, we were supposed to do something else, but he changed it right then when he fucking prick. But it is what it is. I hope you guys enjoyed us on Spotify. Check us out. You'll go to Staring in the Abyss and you'll see War Screws there in both of them. If you want merchandise, go to Teespring, staringintheabyss.com. You can get t-shirts, hats, whatever. That being said, you guys can follow us on YouTube. Follow James Hershey's YouTube page. That's why we don't have it called War Screwed or Staring, because if it would just be easier, and he put it on himself. And that's why I'm saying thank you guys, because we're starting to get more followers back. I said we're almost at 7,000 now again. We used to be at fucking 13 or something like that, and then they shadow banned us. So we're back at 7,000. But we were very popular at one time, and we got shadow banned. And when we were using Mixler, it was very easy, but then Mixler made too many rules. So I know they're going to be changing in a couple weeks. We're going to have to change formats anyway, guys, just so you know, from Skype. So because they're getting rid of Skype, and we're gonna try whatever that new one is. Maybe see what that's about, and we like it or not. We'll find a way. Don't worry. That we're just gonna go back to Facebook Messenger. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But that being said, I hope you guys have a good night, Misfits.
And some news on the Spotify front. Um, I went in and I changed the name on Spotify. It's still Staring into the Abyss, but now it's Staring into the Abyss and We're Screwed is the new name of the channel on Spotify. So now you'll be able to find We're Screwed and Staring easily. I mean, you could always find We're Screwed and Staring on the same page, but it was just called Staring into the Abyss. But now I added We're Screwed to it as well since we're doing that show on a regular basis. So now that'll be a lot easier for everybody to find. Yeah, the original show that literally when I started recording, we were supposed to be talking about the new studies on a meat-based diet with heart health and cholesterol and plaque. I mean, it was going to be a real scientific, going through the studies nutrition show, right? That was the plan. And literally, as I hit record, just something spoke to me, and I just heard in my head that that's not the show I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to do this show. And I had a little battle in my head when I first hit record. And you may see it or you may not. I may edit that part out, but there was a little bit of silence in the very beginning before I started, because in my head I was thinking, no, I don't want to do that show yet. I'm not prepared for that show. We're prepared for the other show, right? Like I don't want to just talk about these different data points that I've seen and kind of let people know what I'm thinking might happen, because I don't have that show prepared at all. I haven't thought about it at all other than on my own. I haven't thought of it as far as making a show out of it. I don't even know how I would tie everything together. How would I explain it all in a way that makes sense and would be, in a timely manner and all that. Had no plans on doing that. But like I said, something just told me this is what show you need to do right now, not the other show. So I'm the kind of guy, I listen. When I hear that voice, I listen. So that's why we did the show that we did. And Old Boy had absolutely no idea that we were going to do that show. And because I didn't have any idea we were going to do that show until we started doing it. But it happens like that sometimes. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comment section what you think. As always, it's up to you to make up your own mind, and we'll catch you on the next one. Till I speak to you again. Love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye bye.